Welcome to another day of learning. Today is day 24, and I'll start the front-end integration today. I hope you're all excited to learn together with me. So let me just confirm that my audio and internet is okay. Okay, I can hear myself from the other screen, which is a good sign. So I just need to confirm a few things. All right, let's get started. So this is the endpoint I'm going to implement today. Okay. The flight shopping, flight offers. Okay. So many of you might remember that I actually worked with this. Yeah, probably last month. We did implement this endpoint, and today it's all about now integrating the front end with the backend. Okay. So let's go to, maybe let's first start by running the backend. So you can come here, okay, and I can clear this and say docker compose app. No, this is the wrong folder. This is the Terraform folder. I have to go to the backend folder first. And I can say docker compose app. This should now work fine. 1000/docs. Yeah, it's actually working. And the endpoint we're interested in is this one. That's what I want, okay? Where I'll be able to send the location code, the destination location code, departure date, the number of adults, the maximum number of results to receive, the return date, the number of children, the infants if available, the travel class, the included airline codes, the excluded airline codes. Is it a non-stop flight or not? Is the currency, what's the currency code? Okay, by default is USD. What's the maximum price? Okay, and if you see this, this is, I mean, all these are query parameters. So we have query, 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 way up to down. Most of them are strings. Some are booleans. Okay. So for responses, we expect 242. Okay. Validation error. And I can say to give this to the API. Okay. Or if I go to the bottom here, okay, we have the schemas. Okay. So I can supply the API. I mean the our tool that we're going to be using for creating the UI with the schema. So if I go down, look at the flight offer, something I'm looking for. Ideally, I want to create the user interfaces using AI. Actually, they have been created. What I need to use AI for is to do the integration. Okay. So let me move up. But yeah, but all is the same. Okay. We can give this to the AI. Okay, to understand the schema. Okay. So for example, if I go to back to this, sorry about my voice if it is not clear, kind of got cold. I can actually just copy all this, okay, and give the AI, and I'm sure it would work, okay. But what I want to do is to go back to Postman and figure out why this wasn't working. Is it the base URL which is different? Localhost port 8000. Why couldn't it send the request? This is getting interesting. It's funny when things fail on the day when you're testing it out live. Just a moment, let me get back. All right, let's continue. So this is something pretty new. I wonder why it's behaving like this. Error port should be greater than or equals to 0 and less than this. Received type. Okay, let us see. Oh, I get it. Said it received type string 8000 with a curly bracket, and the issue is here. Okay, I have to remove this extra curly bracket and leave the variable. So that is, it is 8000 only. But then it was adding this other curly bracket, which I wasn't seeing, which was around here, like so. If I can show you like this, very subtle error and hard to see. And sometimes after a long day like what I'm having right now, you may actually ignore it, okay, and not see it and maybe frustrate you. I'm actually glad I've seen it because certain things like this are hard to see. That is why it's important for us developers to train our attention to detail. So I will send a request. So we get an internal server error, which is now better. Okay, this is now better. So we get a 400 bad request, and these are some of the things we need to, can I say, to carefully verify. Okay, so I'm guessing this could be, remember the last time when we did this, everything was okay. Okay, but the easiest thing to check is usually the query parameters. Okay, so when I face this kind of issue, I start by unchecking some query parameters. Okay, I'll check off all these, because remember the last time we did this, it was actually okay. So when I come here, it says unprocessable entity. This is also a good error. Okay, and it says some things are missing. Says what is missing. If I scroll, the input field says, says type missing. Okay, what's missing? The query parameter, code and origin location code, message, the field is required. So the first one which is missing is the origin location code is missing, destination location code is missing, departure date is missing. All right, let's fix this. Let's check that. Okay, origin location code, destination location code, departure date. Okay, now I'm going to send a request, but I expect to still get a bad request. Okay, this 400 bad error happens. Okay, and if you look at my data here, I actually can guess where I'm getting a bad request. And of course, in this kind of issues, we need to send a better message back to the client. Okay, better than saying internal server error. Maybe we need to say that there's an error in your data. You've given us invalid data. Okay, because here it is a 400 bad request. So here we can show that, and that will be the proper way of doing this. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come here and change, put something that is more recent. The challenge is I'm facing it hard to determine which data is invalid here. And what is crazy about Amadeus, they don't give you the exact error. Okay, you're telling me I have a bad request. But what exactly is causing the bad request? Is it the code? Okay. Let me know what exactly is failing. And these are some of the issues we face as developers. Okay. And why it is important to write unit tests. I didn't write unit tests for this. And the last time we used this, everything was okay. But now you see that it's actually failing. Okay. And Amadeus has no, because at least you tell me maybe it's the location code which is wrong, departure date which is wrong, or something else. But there is no message. Okay. So let me move on and see. Ideally, no hint at all, actually. Okay. No hint at all. If you're wondering, I can show you the endpoint if you have forgotten. Okay. So if you go to routers, excuse me, I've got a flu, I need to sneeze. All right. Routers, I think flights. So this is it. So can you imagine the goal was to do an integration, but now I'm into debugging. So this is the endpoint we are trying to debug. Okay. This. And I remember when we were integrating Redis, it was so smooth. And I was all smiling left and right, center. Okay. And this is the service we're using to do the search, and it was so nice. Maybe let me try to just use a print statement and see if I can figure out what is wrong. Internal server error still. Do I get to see what I want? Okay. Data from the cache is none, which is correct. Okay. My issue is Amadeus is not telling me what it could be wrong. So, oh, I get it actually. I get the bug. Okay. I've got the bug, guys. And look at this date. Look at this date. This is 2025, the 10th month, and then 01. Okay. But if you check the current date of today, it is 6th. Today is not 01. So at least here it should be 06. Okay. So this is an issue. Okay. But it should tell us what is wrong. Which means in the front end, I have to put validation for this field so that you don't input a date in the past. So I'll hit send. You see now we get a 200. Okay. Happy days. Interesting. So that is why actually even the backend has to have better validation. Okay. So that our model, if I show you, if you look at this, says flight data from catch noun. If I hit this again, we get an okay. And this time we're going to get information from the catch. Okay. If you look at, you see all this is data from the catch, our Redis catch that we implemented. If I scroll up, you see flight data from catch. So the only challenge now that we shall need to improve later, okay, is that when I go to this flight search requests, okay, this field here, departure date, okay, should be a string, but with better validation of what the date should actually be like, okay, because this was if you put a date in the past, it should not work. Okay, like we saw, we're getting at 400, and it took me time to understand that I've put a wrong date and I should put a date in the future. So the backend should be able to tell us that. Okay, so that is something I should implement in the future. For now, let me focus on the integration. So for you to see the integration, I'll do this. I'll open up a new shell. Okay, clear, and navigate into the front end. In this front end, I'll say nvm use 20. So nvm is a tool, okay, for managing node applications, and I installed Node.js 20, and I want to use the Node.js 20 version. So you see, it says now using Node.js version 20. So using nvm, you can install multiple versions of Node.js, and you can switch between them. For example, I can say nvm use 18, okay? And it will use the major version of Node.js 18. So you see what it's now using that. But I'll go back to using Node.js 20. And then I'll clear this and then run npm run dev. So if I click on this link, here we are, okay, with the front end, okay. So this front end, I generated this user interface using AI, okay. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of front end development, okay. So where I can, I'm going to try to use AI, but I'm going to make sure I review the code. If AI is not sufficient, then I will manually do an intervention. Okay. So this is going to be this the page that you can enter in the from, the to, departure, the return, the travel class, okay, the currency in USD, the number of adults, children, infants. Then you should be able to click search flights. Okay. So we're going to enable that. So let me go to, I need to open another tab here. So we have this one for the backend running in Docker. We have this one for the front end. Okay. Then here, we're going to use the AI tool. Okay. And just to show you that the code for the front end is here, open this folder. If you go to source, if you go to app, okay, you can see that I have admin, I have auth, I have booking, okay, I have flights, I have for the current user, I have tickets, okay, I have here components and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is this, close this and clear the screen, then say Gemini, okay, okay. I want first cancel that. I want to see the into front end. Then I can type Gemini. So if you're wondering what Gemini is, it's simply a CLI tool, okay, for you to use the Gemini AI. So if you need it, please just Google Gemini CLI installation, like so. And then you can click on this link, which leads you to their GitHub, and then you can learn about the installation, okay? You can install using npx, using npm, using homebrew, etc. Okay. But of course, this isn't about installing Gemini. So I'll focus away from that. And then, so I'll come here and I'll tell AI, study the front end project in at front end. And you say in the current working directory. Okay. So that it has clear context. So then as it's doing that, I'm going to say act as a senior front-end engineer, okay, who uses best practices and industry standards, use the following API docs to implement flight search. Now say use the fetch API, okay? So you're going to see it in a moment. So why earlier I wanted to use Postman is because Postman has a tool. I think if you come to this icon here, say it says documentation, okay? So if I click on it like so, okay, you will see it says generate with AI agent mode. So I can click, okay, and then Postman is going to generate documentation according to the results it has seen, okay? So one way is to give your AI tool this documentation, or we can give the AI tool this, okay, from what we have from Swagger, okay? So yeah, that's what we can do. But I'm going to use this, okay? And maybe use this as the actual schema, maybe, for it to be more aware of what to do. So I'm being asked to approve or reject. So we can maybe read through it. I'll say it says this GET request retrieves flight offers based on specified search criteria, required parameters, says original code, destination code. Of course, this is not everything, okay? Let me approve, then we read. Let's say approve. So it's generating. Okay, so it says required parameters are these, optional parameters are these. This is the structure of the response, including details about flight offers, itineraries, pricing, and seat availability. It says you can view or further edit this documentation directly in the tab. I think these guys have changed this. This is not actually what I was expecting. Let me close this. Open. So because they even don't mention the URL, okay? Because the URL should be somewhere. You get, but okay, let's do this. I'll copy. So I'll copy this from the one they had before. Actually, is way better. Trust me, and I'll show you. So let me just help AI. I'll say I'm going to copy this. Okay, I'm going to tell it that go here. The best URL is that. Okay, and then I'll say I copy this. Okay, then I say here is more context from Swagger docs and paste. Okay, so follow me closely. You're going to see how you can use AI to work faster. So if I scroll, remember I told AI to study. Okay, so it studied everything. Okay, it says I have now studied the frontend project. I've examined the file structure, dependencies, configuration, the main components of the application. To summarize, the framework is Next.js 15 with Turbo Pack, language TypeScript, UI React 19, styling React components, key components, talks about the home page, which is built from several components, including a hero section with a booking form, how it works, etc. It says functionality, the site appears to be for a flight booking service called Airbound Ventures, offering both flight self-service booking and a concierge service via WhatsApp. Okay, so that's what Gemini has given me. Okay, and it read so many things. Okay, it studied the whole thing. Okay, look at what it says. It says, I have a good level understanding of the project. Please let me know what you'd like me to do next. So now I've created my prompt. I'm going to say hit enter. Let's wait to see what it generates. Okay, interesting. So look at this. I had told it to act as a senior front-end developer and do something. So it says it wants permission to apply a change. But of course, before applying that change, I need to read what the changes are. So in this file, there's a file called route.ts, okay, where we have next request and next response, which have been imported from next server, okay. And then I have here, okay, I have here an async function, okay, get, okay, which accepts a request, okay, which is of type request, and then it is picking such parameters from the request.url. Okay, so this is simply picking the request parameters. Then from the request parameters, it picks the say such parameters dot get gets the original location code, the destination location code, the departure date, the adults. Okay, in fact, there are many things that are actually missing. Okay, like if you go back here, okay, there are things like non-stop, the currency code, the maximum price, included airlines, because we may have to maybe add them at some point, okay? But I'll leave that for now. So here there's an if statement checking that if you don't, if there's no original location code, or no location code, or no departure date, or no adults, then return a next response.json saying an error missing required parameters with a status of 400, meaning it's a bad request. Now, going forward, we see that we have a base URL, okay, which has been constructed for us, okay? And AI is good at doing these basic things. Ideally, this should come from the virtual environment. So let us finish the work, then we shall fine tune it. So they have here an object called query params, which is an instance of new URL search params, okay? And they pass the origin location code, the destination code location code, departure date, and adults. And if you know JavaScript or TypeScript, you know that these names, when you do this, these names will be the same as the names of the keys, and the values will be passed properly for us. And then here, the now check, now this is checking for the optional ones, okay? If there's a return date, okay, the say query params would append return date. If there's children parameter, then append the children parameter. If there's infants, append the infants. If there is a travel class, append the travel class to the query params. If there's included airlines, append the included airlines. If there's excluded airlines, append the excluded airlines. Pick the non-stop from the search parameter. If it is there, append it. If there's a currency code, append. If there's a max price, append. etc. Okay. Then at the end, they're saying const response equals to await fetch. Remember, they're using the fetch API. They pass the base URL. Okay. Then a question mark. Then the query params converted to a string. Okay. And then now they say data goes await response to data, and then return next response to JSON data. Okay. Otherwise, they return an error. Okay. With a 500. So that's as simple. So I'm going to click type 1 to accept the changes. Let's see how well it performs. What is going on? I see that flickering. Looks like it's going crazy, but let's wait and see. So we go to source, app, API. So it's creating an API route. And many times I've seen it doing this kind of like flickering and stuff, then eventually it stops. I don't know why it does this, but it's pretty annoying. Sometimes even I go away from it and leave it to do its stuff, then I go back to it. Yeah, but what we're expecting is simply a provision whereby we can enter details like so, okay? Like we did in Postman, and then after that, we get flight data and can probably display them. Wow, it went crazy. Actually, it's still going crazy. I thought it had stopped. Have I broke Gemini? Wow. This has never happened for this long. I think today broke the Gemini API. Please don't report me to Google. If it can't handle, then I could stop it. Okay, looks like it has stopped. Okay, that was crazy. So if I scroll up slightly, I want to see. Okay, it has written a file. So it is now waiting for user confirmation. Okay, so it has made an edit to a component. Okay, source components booking form.tsx. Okay, so if you look at this file, just to explain to you properly. Okay, this page here, okay, is the home page, and it has a form component. So let me take you and explain to you this stuff. Okay, we have, if I go to components, so in components we have a booking form. Okay, so if you look at booking form, it's simply a form. Okay, if I go down here, okay, you see it's an HTML form, as simple as that. And now we use it in the home. If I can go back to app, and I want to find an easy way of explaining to especially to those who may not know front-end stuff. Okay, so you see at the basic core of my layout, I have a navbar and a footer. Okay, so navbar is simply this part here in white is the navbar. Then we have the footer at the bottom. Then after that, I want to show you something else. If I go to page.tsx, okay, you see that I have the main homepage. Okay, this is the main homepage, which has a hero section. Okay, this hero section is this part here. Okay, up to here. Okay, so you have the hero section. Then after the hero section, we have the how it works. Okay, how it works is this part, is this next one here. Then we have popular destination, this one. Then we have testimonial section, which is this one. Okay. Then we have contact us section, which is this one. Okay. Then finally the footer, which I've showed you in the layout. So yeah, this is just basic stuff. But what we're interested in is this form. So where's this form found? This form is in the hero section. So if I go to hero section, okay, hero section is in components, hero section. Okay. So the hero section has the booking form. Are you seeing this? Which is this one here. Okay. So these are components. Okay. So this booking form component, okay, if I hover over it, press command or command. Command is on for Mac, then control for Windows. So I hover, press command on Mac. If you're on Windows, press control and I click, it will take me to that component, which is this one here. Okay. So the booking form. So I think that you understand the structure of just this particular section. So I'll close this, close this, close this, and now look at the code which AI wants to edit. So AI has found that my state. Okay, so if you look at my state, we have a use state. Okay, so for those who are watching this for the first time and you don't know what Next.js is, I would suggest probably you watch a Next.js course, probably first. Okay, maybe not Next.js. You have to know, of course, JavaScript. You have to know TypeScript. You have to know Next.js. Okay, but it's not even that hard. Okay, and I learned them so much time. I don't like doing front end a lot. That's why you see me doing most of the things using AI. Okay, so you have a use state. So think about use state as data. Okay, data in your application. So we have that data, which is simply our form data. Okay, so to access that form data, use state gives you two things. Okay, it gives you the data and a function to update that data. So use state in this case is giving us the form, which is the actual data, and set from a function to update that data. But initially, you have to supply an initial state. Okay, and in that we are supplying an object. Okay, so in JavaScript, if you say curly bracket like this at the beginning and also at the end with key value pairs, that is called a JavaScript object. Okay, so AI saw what I did earlier. Okay, and it's removing these lines. So these lines in red are being removed and these new lines are being added. Okay, so I will go ahead and confirm that. Okay, I'll scroll to the bottom, says waiting for user confirmation. Let me scroll and say yes, allow. So it's going crazy again. So again, something has happened. It has modified page.tsx. Okay, and a lot has been deleted. If you see, what has been did is the mock data. Okay, so ideally it was using mock data. I don't know if I can zoom out slightly so that you can see. Okay, if I scroll up, you see I have here a mock data structure. Okay, which has been removed, and then now here we're using use such params. Then it's now importing use effect and use state from React. Then a number of things have been removed, like the format duration, the format time, the format date, sorted flight date. Okay, all this has to be. I understand why it is removing them because that's just dummy information, and they won't add much. Then there's this part for searching params. Okay, so they're using use such params. I don't know if you remember use such params. Okay, so use such params. Then you have use state of the flights and set flights, loading, set loading, error, set error. Okay, so simply the first argument in this square brackets is the data. Then the next one is the function to change that data. Then here we have a use effect. Okay, use effect hook that will be run once when our application when the page loads. Okay, so it uses the URL search params to pick the search params. Okay, then it says await fetch API flights params to string. So I guess it's not using this. It's API route it created. Looks like it has ignored that. So you're saying then it says if the response is not okay, and throw a new error failed to fetch flights. It says const data equals await response to JSON set flights. Okay, so you say I told you use effect gives you a function for setting your data. So set flights is being used to set the flights data. Then if there's an error, says set error dot message. Okay, so set error will update this error object with a message. Then for loading, to handle loading, okay, says set loading false. So by default, loading, if you see loading has a default value of true, but these other has default values of null. So flights by default is null. By default, the error is null, but loading by default is true. Okay, so I'll just accept that. Let's save. I'll press 1 to accept, and then Gemini is going to go crazy. If you use Gemini and you don't have this glitch that happens before, please let me know. But let's leave it to do its thing. Okay. Now I'm seeing the flight offers card, okay, has been modified. And I'm going to explain this in a minute, okay? But let's go through it, okay? First of all, you see that there's an icon which has been imported. It says FA plane from React Icons FA, okay? So React Icons FA is simply a tool to help you generate icons, okay? Then we have a function called flight offer card, okay? It's a component and it expects to get a flight information, okay? So a flight offer card will display only information for a particular flight. And so it says export default function flight offer card, and the flight data is destructured or picked out. And then from the flight, we get the itineraries and the price, okay? Then I see something called there. I don't understand this kind of variable naming. I might have to change it by myself, saying there and back. So it says gets the segments, says itineraries at index 0, pick the segments. So if the itineraries dot length is greater than equals to 1, show itineraries 1 dot segments except null. I'll need to dig deep into the data to understand it, okay? Then there's a function here for formatting time. It creates a new date, okay? A new date time object and change it to local time string, okay? And then I'm seeing an empty array, okay? Then hour, 2 digits, minute, 2 digits. Okay, it's the format, okay? Formatting the hour to 2 digits and formatting the minutes to 2 digits. Then the date is also being formatted, okay? By passing the date time to the new date time function like this, change it to a local date string, okay? Because not local but local, essentially it's local, but this simply means showing the appropriate time and date where the person is, okay? Where the user is. And the month, they want to display it in the short form and the day in numeric. Then if I continue this, so this is how you do with AI, okay? When AI generates code, you have to review it. Then if I come here, it says render segment. So it is rendering the segment, takes in a segment, and is last, okay? So you see there's some JSX here. There's a key called segment.id, and again, keys in React are simply used to identify components uniquely, okay? So it has a style here of a class name, and it's showing some Tailwind classes. Showing Tailwind class code is so this Tailwind class MB2, okay? Now I understand what is all about. If the item is the last one, okay, put a margin bottom of 2, except no margin bottom, okay? So if if is last exists, okay, give us margin bottom of 2, except otherwise nothing. Then show the icon, okay, make it blue with a strength of 500. Then have a div, okay, with the class name text sm, meaning small text. Have inside it have a span, and the span is going to show the IATA code, okay? And it's also going to show the time using our format time function, and it's going to also show the IATA code of the arrival, okay? And it will format time using our function, okay? So if I can quickly break this down for you, okay? We simply have the IATA code for the departure. Remember, it is segment, the departure.IATA code. Then we format its time, okay, by getting the segment.departure.at. Then we go to the IATA code for arrival and display its time, okay. Then here we have simply the carrier code and the number, and they are styled using this, okay. Extra XS text, bigger text, okay, and then text gray 500. Then down here we simply use that their class names, okay. I won't go through all the class names, but simply it's tailwind, okay, tailwind styles. But here we see they're showing the IATA code, okay. Then here they're showing the departure date, okay. They're showing the price total. This should be USD, not this, okay. The total price, render segment, render segment. So yeah, to render the segment, they're using this function. There's a function I showed you. Where is it? This one here, okay. Render segment is being passed here. So you see the thing there dot map, okay. I don't know why it named it like that, but that could be, they should have given it a better name, okay. But I'll change it if AI is fails to do so, okay. Then we see that select flight button. So let me hit 1 to confirm and wait for what it does. So let's wait for AI to do its magic. Okay, looks like there's movement. Actually, you can see something has been deleted. Okay, interesting. So if we go here, you see the flight offer card has been imported, okay, from components, flight offer card. And then I'm seeing set flight saying data. This is interesting. I wonder why it's doing that. Okay. Then here we have this code has been deleted. Okay. And we have new data which says flights. If flights data exists and flights.length is greater than 0, meaning at least we have one flight information. Then it says flights.map. Okay. If you're new to JavaScript, you know that the map function helps you to iterate an array and return a new array, okay, by making changes to it. So you can see that the flight offer card has been passed using and passing the key, okay, and the key to identify this, to uniquely identify these components is the flight.id. Then the flight equals to flight, as simple as that, okay. And then they're saying if the flights data actually exists, then we show this. Otherwise, we show loading. Otherwise, if it's not loading, then we say no flights found. Okay, as simple as that. But then I want to show you something. Just make sure that you understand all this. Okay. So when we test it in Postman, you see that we have flight ID, a flight. This is a flight. Okay. Each of these are flights. Let me show you. We have 1, 2, 3. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 flights. Okay. and each flight has a key code type, flight and the value, flight offer. The ID for this one is 1. Source, that is ticketing, non-homogeneous, etc. So many things. Okay, we have itineraries. Okay, we have itineraries. Then we have segments. Okay, inside the segments we have the IATA code. Okay, the departure. We have the arrival. Okay, and it's IATA code. We have the carrier code. We have the aircraft code. So many things. Okay, we have the price. Okay, so a lot of information. Okay, so if AI fails, one trick is to copy all this. Okay, you can copy all this and give it this as a sample of a response given by the API. Then it will reiterate. So I'll go ahead and confirm this. So to confirm this change using Gemini, okay, says waiting for user confirmation. I'll simply type 1 and leave it to implement. Okay, looks like it's done. Okay, so it wants to run and allow execution of npm. I'm going to say no. I'll press escape. Okay, because it's already running. Okay, so let's find out. Let's refresh. So refresh the page. Okay, and I want to hit inspect with the network tab. Then I try to put in some codes. I'll say NYC. I'll say loan for London. I'll choose a departure date. I'll pick return date. Leave these others and hit search flights. So you see it says loading. Okay. And we get an error. It says error, failed to fetch flights. No flights found. Is that true? So I'll come here and search. Look at the payload. If I go to the backend, I want to show you. You see, we get the same thing. Okay, a 429. What is a 429 error? Okay, so I earlier on you said that what we did in Postman was working. Let's see, 429 status code. What does it mean? Says too many requests is an says 429 means too many requests is an HTTP status error. That means a client has sent too many requests to a server in a given amount of time. Okay, that's crazy. So we sent a lot. I'll need to investigate how that happened. Was it because of the many renders? I'm starting to see the disadvantage of what being on AI. So I want to do something, okay? When you get the query params, okay, and we submit the form, I do not want to push, okay, immediately. So I'll first of all comment. And to see what happens. I'll go to the flight. Okay, so what types are needed for this? But this is something that can be fixed later. I'll leave that for now. Go to app API. So my gamble with using AI, I'm starting to see the issue. Okay. So if let me just do this one more time. One thing with AI is that even when you spend a lot of time without uh practicing, okay, even when now you use AI, you actually get stuck. Okay. Because it's been a while since I used Next.js. Something in the best route for me is actually to revise Next.js and be able to do something tangible. So if you look at this, we get the same error. And if I go to the backend, so we get the same thing. But this time we're getting a 400. Okay, this is better. It's better than the other one. Yeah, but I'm learning it the hard way. So error failed to fetch flights, no flights found. And now we get back to Amadeus and its issues. It doesn't tell you what the error is. Okay, it just gives you a 400 error without telling you it's maybe the country code which is wrong. It's this. Okay, so if you look at the payload here, you see that we have the location, origin location code, destination location code, departure. Okay, non-stop. Is the return date valid? Wait, these are actually wrong. I think the 400 bad request makes sense because you can't return on 9th and yet you're leaving on 13th. You see that? That's weird. So I need to fix that. So I'll say London, NYC. I want to depart on 60th, return on 9th, economy, US dollar, search. Okay, this is better. Okay, so we get a 429. So look at this. It says we have made 42 requests. And remember what the 429 error means. Okay, it's an error which, like we have Googled, shows you that you've made many requests. Okay, and we have made 42 requests. 9.5 MB transfer. That's crazy. Oh my god. How do vibe coders do it? Okay, that's literally crazy, like very crazy. So I'll get back here and investigate. How can I just hit the button once, but I have 42 requests? Okay, so this has no problem. This is here the booking form. Okay, so after you click book, of course this is triggered. Okay, where is this flight offer card? I think we also saw this. I have to close this. And if you come here to flights, the actual page. Okay, are you seeing this? All these are linting issues. That's why I like TypeScript that we need to fix. Then I want to see now. Here's my guess. Okay, for what should be causing those multiple requests? This. Open this. wouldn't worry about that a lot, okay? But yeah, I'm starting to suspect the this use effect, okay? Sending multiple requests. But it's a very good wake up call actually for me to know that, to experience what web coders get, okay? Just really need to revise Next.js. That's a hard truth. It's been a while, okay? I've been using Next, but I've been creating, can I say, single basic apps with using things. And if there's a need for CMS, I use things like Strappy. I've actually forgotten Next. So I hit search. Okay. Now, after commenting out this, I mean not commenting out, but removing that dependency array, okay, in the dependency array with the use effect, I send the request, they're now 11. Okay. Which means I have to continue to the to the to this to the to bug, okay, debug and discover what could be wrong. If I go back to here backend, we get a 400. I was expecting the 429. Let me see. Let me try to change this quickly. I want to, what I'm trying to do is, okay, we depart on 7th, come back on 10th. Okay, that's okay. Now you see we have 14 requests. If I go back to the backend, what do I see? It's a 400 bad request. Yeah, that's now, let me say slightly better. Now, what I now need to actually study, okay, is now what is causing the bad request. Ideally, I should replicate what is here, okay, so that when I send a request like this, all goes well. I don't know if you guys understand, okay? What is this? So here I see the NYC loan, and those the correct codes. In fact, even in future, these codes should be loaded for us. We shouldn't be hard coding them manually. Then let me see. We have departure date. Is the format correct? Sometimes actually formats matter. Okay. So the format is okay. The number of adults, children, travel class, return date. I can't seem to figure out what the bad request is. The required fields are 3. Origin location code. Is the spelling correct? Yeah. Destination location code, is the origin correct? Yes. Departure date, is the origin, is the spelling correct? Yes. So what is the issue? The others are actually what? Optional values. But also another issue is that I'm seeing these 2 renders, okay? These 2 requests. I hit the button once, but why am I having 2 requests? That's very bad. It should only send 1 request. So more work for me to do. Time to go back to the ground and revise next. And yeah, actually, I'd forgotten that about these API routes they had introduced. I need to revise what they're all about. There's a project I'm working on using Next.js, but I I I implement such stuff without having to use the API routes. Uh, so yeah, I guess I can call it a day. It's 10 p.m. here. I'll figure out my React, okay, and fix some things. Maybe I actually don't need to use the API route anymore, and then try to get it working, and then I'll explain to you in the next video. Yeah, but yeah, that's how development is, okay? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes it actually matters what time of day you study. Like right now, it's 10 p.m. and yeah, after pretty tired Monday, I'm here getting through one of the least desirable stacks, which is the front end. Yeah, but I'll the solution to this is simply for me to look at it closely and replicate what I have here in Postman, okay? Because if I send the request here, you're going to see that we have happy days. So you see, we have a 200, okay. The request has been successful. So the goal of me right now as a front-end developer is to make sure that when this form is filled, first of all, one request is sent, okay? And then to make sure that the correct data is sent to the backend so that we always have a 200, okay? In fact, even before we go, there's things I don't need. This directory here, I want to just get rid of it for now, okay? There are things I'm going to get rid of. For example, I want to show you something else. If we go to the booking form, I don't need to do query. I don't want to push, okay, like this. I want to actually, what's going to happen, I'll want to submit the form, okay? I mean, submit to the API. So we can maybe follow what AI is suggesting, okay? So I want to build the URL, okay? But this is not how the URL is going to be. I'm going to remove the router and I show you, okay? So ideally it has to be like so. I'll copy this, okay? It will be localhost, okay? Not such slash flights. That is wrong. It has to be slash flight offers search, okay? Let me copy this from here. Let's do it manually. Actually, because I think I've been tired, I've even been failing to see that it was trying to do what? This. Let me leave that, okay? So we have localhost, 8,000 shopping flight offers. Okay, that. Then I can now say const response equals await.fetch. Okay. Then see AI is saying data equals to response.json. So just console.log for now. Okay. And I see if I'll avoid the double requests. So I'll say city, London 2, NYC. Departure date is that. Return date is this. Hit search flights. Okay. So at least you see I've had only one request. Wait, it says 19 requests. But probably to other things. Okay. I need to figure out how this works. So it says have an issue. What issue is that? Failed to fetch. Why did it fail to fetch? Remove this. Click. So it's complaining about the fetch API. So the question I should be asking, because this is next, okay? Am I on the server or am I doing this on the backend? But I want to show you something. I want to click this. I want to clear this, okay? Close this, hit send, and show you something interesting. Now read this message. It's very important. Okay. Says access at this URL from origin has been blocked by cause policy. No access control origin header is present on the requested resource. Okay. So if you don't know what cause is, it's simply a policy that cause is an abbreviation for cross origin resource sharing. The C is for cross, the O is for origin, the R is for resource, the S is for sharing. So one origin is our front-end app running on 3000, port 3000, localhost port 3000. Another one is the backend running on localhost at port 8000. So those are different origins. So the backend has to allow the origin at localhost 3000 for it to work. Okay. Yeah. So looks like we are getting somewhere. Okay. So let us handle it. Okay. How do you handle it in FastAPI? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is to search. Like, I'm pretty new to FastAPI and I've been learning how to do it. But the concept of cause applies everywhere. Okay. Since I know what is wrong now, we just need to find out. Okay. I'll say how to just say cause in FastAPI and see how they handle them. So that we go to the backend and handle cause. So you see cross origin association. Actually, I think we did this when we were studying FastAPI, if I remember. If my memory serves right. Okay. So it's saying you can use the cause middleware. You can configure in your FastAPI using the cause. So they're saying import the cause middleware, create a list of allowed origins, add it as a middleware to your FastAPI application. So you can see you can specify whether your backend allows credentials, specific methods, specific headers, etc. Okay. So I think I did this when I was studying FastAPI. Okay. But to solve this issue, okay, or to tell our backend that allow such and such an origin, okay, allow this origin, we simply need to import, okay, just to save you time reading this page. We simply need to import this cause middleware, okay. So I'll copy that line of code, go to the backend. Where's the backend? Backend main.py. Okay, paste that there. Go back here. Then we have it can have a list of origins. Okay, so ideally this should come from like the virtual environment. Okay, so for now I'll just hard code it and change. Our origin should be HTTP 30,000. Okay, this is the one we want to allow. Then can now say app.add middleware. Okay, can just copy what they have here. Okay, so after the definition of app down here, I say app.add middleware. So this is how I do my things. Okay, I learn, fail until I master them. So the cause middleware is this one. Then allow origins is this one we're allowing. Allow credentials. Do we need credentials right now? Okay. Okay, it's okay. Our backend should allow credentials. The methods which are being allowed, all methods and all headers for now. So let's try. I hope it has restarted. Okay, so our server has restarted. I can now go back and expect that the cause issue has been sorted. Looks like we're getting the same challenge. Basically, it's a 400. How can you tell me it's a cause issue again when I'm getting a 400? It's crazy. Okay. It doesn't make sense. Let me just scroll here. So you're saying you can use this to allow any origin. Okay. Let me try to allow all. Okay. So go back here and do this. Allow all for now. So from this, do you say frontend is easy or hard? I want to refresh the page. Departure date. Return date is that from NYC to London. Hit search. So you see, we still have the same issue. If you go to the network tab, what does the network tab give me? Okay. If I reduce, how can I reduce this? Well, this is too long to read, but all the parameters are actually added. This is okay. Preview. So there's no actually real response. Yeah, this is a welcome Next.js for me. So if as long as that cause issue actually still exists, it becomes ideally your backend won't expect. Okay, can I say your backend won't accept? But what is interesting is this. Okay, I get this. Then we get this. Isn't it interesting? I need to know the calls first. Wow. It's almost 20 minutes past 10 p.m. here. And my mind is tired. I just need to read more about this and then try to figure it out. Because like you see, actually the backend is okay. Okay. Backend is okay. All I need to figure out is the cause. Okay. Setting up the cause middleware, and then after that I should be able to fix all this. Yeah, I guess I might have to read this again, because skimming through it could mean I'm maybe missing something in particular. All right. Bad days do happen. I'll take a break and then get back tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow I'll continue the same thing like I've been doing today. In the morning I'll be learning Kubernetes, then in the evening we shall be back to this. So I need to there's that thing as a developer that even when something does not work out, you want to keep persisting. And yet sometimes resting is what can help you figure out what is actually wrong with what you're doing. But then there's that instinct that keeps on, I don't know if I can call it instinct. That thing that keeps telling you not to rest, like it has to work. I have to keep trying. I have to keep trying. It has to work. It's crazy. Okay. So let's meet tomorrow and let's uh I'll try to get time to look at what I'm doing wrong, and then yeah, we can debug together and solve this. Like see the backend is working, and this is actually being picked from the cache. However many times I run this, you see, we get the response almost instantly. So yeah, I'm gonna study what is wrong with my front end, maybe revise a few concepts in Next.js, and also figure out how to properly handle calls in FastAPI. And I'll be happy to share with you that. Okay. So thank you for learning with me. And if you have any advice and you're watching this after the stream, please feel free to share it in the comment section. Okay. So bye for now and meet you tomorrow as we learn and learn and we learn together.